The holiday shopping season is in full swing, and whether you like doing it or not, chances are you'll spend about as much or maybe a little bit more than last year. With inflation driving up prices, it's more important than ever to be a savvy holiday shopper, and the super shoppers at Checkbook.org can help you do that. I'm Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man, a contributing editor at Checkbook.org.
Welcome to Consumerpedia at Checkbook.org. We're the nonprofit that helps consumers select services, avoid trouble, and save money. Because we don't accept any advertising or take money from any business we recommend, you can rely on Checkbook.org to be completely independent and objective. Now, here's the host of Consumerpedia, America's consumer expert, the Consumer Man, Herb Weisbaum.
Holiday sales this year are expected to be between 6 and 8% more than 2021. The National Retail Federation asked people who plan to do holiday shopping how much they expected to spend on gifts and other holiday items. And they said about $833, a few dollars more than last year, but in line with the 10-year average. Joining us today, Checkbook Associate Editor Jamie Lettuce. Jamie is a BFF whom I've had the pleasure of working with for many years now, but this is the first time having her on Consumerpedia. Jamie, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I knew you were going to get me sooner or later.
Oh, absolutely. So in our last episode with Executive Editor Kevin Brassler, we established right away that both of us hate to shop anytime for anything. When it comes to holiday shopping, do you find it pleasant or painful?
You know, I think it can be a little bit of both, but part of me really enjoys the hunt. Once I know what I'm looking for, I love to find the best price and the best item. So I would say mostly I enjoy it.
You're just like my wife. For her, it's the hunt, the experience. For me, it's I need the thing and let me get out of here.
Exactly.
So this is going to be a different type of experience for holiday shoppers this year. Last year it was, can I find what I want? And this year it's going to be the stores are filled with merchandise that all seem to be on sale. The only way to know if it's a super blowout, super duper doorbuster deal or just a made up sale is to comparison shop. And you have some really good suggestions on how we can do that.
Yes, this is definitely going to be a different year. And I was just reflecting on the fact that last year I bought my kids a Nintendo Switch around October 15th because there was all this talk about shortages and I happened to see one on the shelf in Target and I never usually shop that early, but I grabbed it and I didn't even price shop that time because I knew I just had to get it and I got it. So this year, you definitely want to focus back on comparison shopping. Don't just look at an item and see it on the shelf and say, all right, I'm just going to get that one and be done with it like you might, Herb. You want to take your time, and it's a lot easier than it used to be to shop around. There are a lot of apps and websites out there. You know, we've tried Honey, Price Grabber, Shop Savvy, Yahoo Shopping. None of these is a perfect tool, but they all work. And if you take the time to use them, you can save some money. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm out shopping, I pull out my phone and if I'm at Home Depot, for example, like I just bought a fan for my basement. And while I was at Home Depot, I was able to find the same fan for less money on Amazon. And I had checked Lowe's and Best Buy and the prices were different at each store. So that's an easy thing you can do while you're out shopping. Do an internet search, use some of these apps or tools, and you can, really save some money that way.
And you might just say to the store, hey, look, I can get this at someplace else cheaper. Will you match the price? And many of them will.
Many stores will definitely price match. They don't want to lose your business. So sometimes you just have it up on your phone and you go to customer service and you say, look, here I am. I want this item. You have it. I want to buy it from you. But I could save $25 if I buy it somewhere else. What can you do? And most times you're going to get that price match. Now, some retailers have rules about it has to be from the seller itself. It can't be like a third-party seller on Walmart.com. It has to be from Walmart as the seller. And some of them have a short list of stores that they'll price match with. They won't do it with everyone, but it's certainly worth asking.
And you know what? You have 2 feet and you can walk out the door and buy it from somebody else if they're not willing to do it.
Exactly. You got to play that hard bargain. It's like buying a car, right? You don't want to let them get the best of you.
And by the way, just for the record, I do comparison shop before I buy. I just hate it. But I do look for the good deals. I'm not, I am the consumer man, but I just don't like, it's not a game to me. It's I buy it, I need it, okay, move along.
I feel like now it's not like years ago where you'd actually have to physically go to the stores or call around and hope someone answered the phone. It's easy these days.
Oh, yeah. When I bought my last laptop, I just went online and I saved like $300, $400 just by going around doing some searching. Didn't have to leave the house. So it's really easy. And if you're shopping online, and I've been doing this more often now, is use those promo codes. I don't know if everybody's really familiar with that or how you get the code. So why don't we walk through that process?
This is one of my favorite tricks to saving money when you shop. I don't buy anything without doing a search for promo codes. And it could be a hotel room, and I will search for promo codes. And sometimes I find them. I mean, I've had promo codes for Hotwire. I've had promo codes for Airbnb. They don't come along very often, but they're out there. And especially if you're just shopping mainstream retail, think The Gap, Loft, any of these big chain stores that we all shop in, these codes are plentiful. And they change all the time. Every store has a different schedule for how they roll these things out. And sometimes the codes are ones that are only sent to certain people, but someone graciously posted online for other people to share and use. It could be like a one-time use code, but someone's not going to use it. And there are websites where you can find some of those codes and use them, which could be a nice savings from a store that usually doesn't offer promo codes. The best way to do it is to Google the name of the retailer and coupon code or promo code. And there are a few sites, Coupon Cabin and Retail Me Not are two of the biggest ones that I usually have luck with, and their codes tend to be pretty good. But there are a lot of other players now too, and sometimes they come through for you. And I've tried 10, 15 codes sometimes, depending on the purchase, before I find one that hits. So it's worth the time for sure. I mean, over the weekend, I had to get some clothes for my kids who are outgrowing everything, lightning fast. And the Gap was offering 50% off with a promo code. That's huge. I mean, I got $200 worth of clothes for $100. And that was just a simple search. So it really, really pays off to do this. And I will tell you also, another site that I've been using the past 6 months or so is Reddit, which is, a forum for all kinds of things. But that's one of the places where you can sometimes find codes for stores that often don't have codes. I found one for Athleta, the athleisure brand, recently for 20% off that was sitting in there, and I didn't see that code anywhere else. So that's another place I like to check.
And if you get catalogs, paper catalogs in the mail, I shop online, they send the catalogs. Almost always now they have a coupon code on the back.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that I empty my mail into the trash can because I hate having junk piles. But, I do look at everything as I'm throwing it in there. And especially as we get toward the holiday shopping season, they start rolling in and, there are really good ones. I got one yesterday. I think it was J. Crew Factory that was like, something like $25 off a $100 purchase. Ripped that one out and saved it. LL Bean, which is one of the retailers that I don't find a lot of discounts for, usually sent me one for 15% off an order, which is about as good as it gets for them. So I ripped that one. And I don't know what I'm buying for everybody on my shopping list yet. But I figured, let me hang on to some of these things, and that way I have them if I need them. Another thing that I like to do, which also helps keep the junk from piling up and all the paper and stuff, I don't usually want the catalog itself, so I'll either rip the coupon off and save it, or I take a picture of it with my phone and I can save it to a folder in my camera roll. And that's great too, because that way when I go to shop, I have all the codes, and if I'm away from my computer and I want to buy it on my phone, I have it right in there. So that's another way that I kind of manage all the deals without having to keep all the paper.
So let's talk about online shopping portals. When I shop online, I use a company called Rakuten, and I don't buy all that much, but once, twice a year, I get a check in the mail. It's like free money. Explain how these cashback shopping portals work.
The retailers will pay the portal websites for referrals, like a small amount. It's like a small commission. And then the cashback portal websites pass that along to you. So I had never used these before and was asked to write an article for Checkbook about them. And so I spent a bunch of time playing around with these sites, testing them out, and I was amazed at how much money you can make. And it's something that's separate from coupon codes. There are many stores that will limit the number of coupon codes you can use. It might just be one per order, right? But then they don't know you're using the Rakuten or you're using Mr. Rebates or one of these sites. So you can stack your savings by using these. It's really terrific. I mean, sometimes you can see up to 15% cash back that's coming back to your account. And the way it works is the site that I use mostly is Rakuten, and they give a 4 times a year payout. And you can log in and it will will tell you how much your big fat check is going to be. And they can send the money to you electronically, or you can get a paper check. But it's basically a kind of like finding money in the couch cushion is the way I think of it. Sometimes they'll say like, congratulations, like cash just hit your account. It's 19 cents. But when you think about all the things you buy in a quarter, that can really add up. And sometimes stores will run like a special promotion. So I had mentioned that I had saved like $100, 50% using a coupon code at the Gap. What I didn't tell you yet was the Gap was also offering a 10% cash back on Rocketed. So I got $10.
Wow.
Deposited into my balance. So I was able to stack the cashback savings on top of the coupon savings. So it really pays off, and it doesn't take much to set up an account. Highly recommend doing that.
And let's not forget, your credit card company may have their own portal where you can save as well if you start with them and buy things through their portal.
Yeah, I also am an American Express customer, and they have something called Amex Offers. And I go in there about once a week and I check, and you can add offers to your card, right? And sometimes it'll be like Marriott, $50 off a $250 purchase. Or a lot of the restaurants near where I live, same thing, right? It'll be $10 off $100. But all of those things add up, and you can stack those with the Rocketed, and you can stack those with the coupons. So a layered approach really can help you out. So yeah, definitely check those too. If your credit card company offers any of these special savings, for sure. Now, I will warn you that the reason why they do that is they want to obviously get you to use their card when you make that purchase. So if you're somebody like me who likes to live in real time, where I like to pay for things right away and not have a big balance every month, I sometimes like, okay, do I need to be, using their $5 off a $25 purchase at Jersey Mike's subs? Because then I have my sub purchase sitting on my credit card, and, I'd rather just pay cash at the register for that sub than put it on my credit card, even though I'm leaving $5 on the table. Just keep that in mind. If you're using those deals, just know your credit card terms and make sure you're paying off those bills, every month if you can.
Not the consumer, man. Everything goes on the credit card, and the deal is my wife and I, it gets paid off in full every month. I get all the rewards, and that's the way I work. But it all depends on how you handle things, and it's smart not to carry a balance is the bottom line.
Yes.
Social media, that's a place where you can find a lot of bargains, and we're going to talk to Jamie about that next. This is Consumerpedia, powered by Checkbook.org.
Checkbook.org can save you money on all sorts of services you need and help you find high-quality businesses in your area. From tax preparers and auto mechanics to electricians and plumbers, we have ratings in these 7 metro areas: Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, Minneapolis-St. Paul, and Washington, D.C. To find out more, visit checkbook.org. Our advice is always free. Ratings of local services are available with a subscription. If you live in one of these 7 areas and haven't joined Checkbook yet, check us out. Get a free 30-day subscription by going to checkbook.org/Consumerpedia.
We're talking to Jamie Lettuce, Associate Editor at Checkbook.org, about shopping, especially during this holiday season. Jamie, I'm not big with social media, but I know you are, and a lot of our listeners are. So how do we find the deals there?
So what you want to do is connect with retailers that you frequently patronize, right? So, if you have favorite clothing stores or, electronic stores, whatever it may be, you want to connect with them on social media, even if it's like a small boutique, right? A locally owned boutique. That's a way you can stay plugged into any kind of special shopping events, deals, sales that they are offering. So it's just a really smart way to stay connected. And often, that's the first place that they'll advertise these things. It's like 25% off all coats this weekend. You may find that out first on social media. In the last 5 years or so, influencers have become huge for brands. Brands find influencers on particularly Instagram, and they pay them to promote their products and brands. And, it has to be disclosed as of, I think it's a few months ago, the FTC has, made the rules a little bit tighter, and they have to make sure that these influencers are telling you that this is a promoted product. Usually it's pretty obvious. You'll be watching a video and they'll say, oh, I just got these new sheets and comforters and blankets for my bedroom from Boll & Branch, right? Which is a company that has all kinds of housewares. And they're offering, my fans a 25% coupon code if you use, Kate123. And those are deals that you often don't find elsewhere. So if you, are connected with influencers or style that you like, people who dress the way you like, or you get ideas from them, or housewares, home design, any of that. Those companies are all funneling these codes. A lot of it food too. I follow a lot of cooking people, and same thing. It'll be, brands that offer special discounts only to influencers, and then they're sharing them with their audiences. So that's another great way to save some money and be connected with some special offers.
Because of all the advertising, it's easy to assume that big stores or big name online retailers have the best prices, but that's clearly not always the case. Don't forget the small stores in your areas you were mentioning.
Yeah, definitely. You always want to think about local businesses when you can. They've all had a tough time the past few years. We have to really treasure the ones that were able to weather the pandemic and all that brought with it. It's nice to keep your business local when you can. And even if it's changing the way you shop and thinking more about something that's more meaningful, or something that's made by someone locally, or maybe a gift card to a local restaurant. I particularly the last few years have been trying to find ways that I can keep my money in the community. And I think that's a great thing to do as you make your shopping list this year.
My wife, who, as we've mentioned already, is a super shopper, has a motto: ask for something. All they can do is say no. And that's one of your tips. Ask about special discounts that may not be highly advertised, but may be available to you.
Yeah, exactly. You could always say, hey, is this the best you can do? I have a 6-year-old in glasses, and anybody listening to this who's had a young child who wears glasses know that all kinds of things happen to those glasses. And I was recently in Lens Crafters getting a pair of glasses fixed. And I happened to say to the lady, I said, I buy glasses all the time. And is there any kind of package or discount? She said, oh yeah, no problem. We can take your insurance and we'll give you 30% off. And all I did was ask. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes, particularly when it's a larger purchase and you're maybe like, oh God, this is more than I wanted to spend. Sometimes you say is there any better that you could do? Is there any kind of deal online or anything? It can totally work. And the worst that can happen is they say no. But a lot of times there's a coupon behind the counter. And they say, oh, well, let me just try to scan this and see what happens. Or they'll say, oh, are you a AAA member? Are you a first responder or any of that? And sometimes, you're able to save money if you are.
And there are a lot of discounts for seniors or for teachers and students, that sort of thing.
So, yeah, there are a lot of special categories of workers, people 55 and older, teachers, nurses. Some companies actually just say government employees. So if you have a government mailing address, law enforcement, these are all things that can get you discounts at certain businesses. So I did a search recently and I found actually through the holiday season, New Balance is offering 25% off to a bunch of different categories of employees. So do those searches, see which companies do that. I know The Loft and J. Crew in particular always give discounts to teachers. I believe Apple gives discounts to students too. So, it definitely is another thing that you can do. And again, it's that stacked, layered approach that can really pay off for you.
One thing to keep in mind is the way you pay can also save you money. Talk about that, about the right way or the smart way to pay for things.
So we always tell people when you're making a big purchase, for sure, you want to pay with a credit card. And that's because when you pay with plastic, you get strong consumer protections. So if you need to initiate what's called a chargeback, which is kind of a last resort, you always want to try to rectify the situation with the seller before you go down that road. You want to say, hey, this broke, or I'm unhappy with this, or whatever it is, and give that seller the opportunity to make it right. Mm-hmm. Now, if they don't, though, you have what we like to call the super weapon for consumers, which is the credit card chargeback. We find overwhelmingly credit card issuers favor the consumer in these kinds of disputes. And you could get the money back through your credit card. They'll take the money back from the retailer, and that's kind of a last resort, but it gives you all kinds of protection by paying with your credit card. So, anytime you could do it, I do it even with home projects. Like my plumber will take credit cards, and a lot of home repair people will take credit cards now. So I do it just as a way to protect myself in case anything goes wrong. So that's a really good way to pay if you're making a big purchase.
And especially if you're shopping online, you want that extra protection from a credit card that you do not get if you use a debit card. That's really, really important.
Yes, definitely. The credit card offers you protections beyond what you would get with a debit card.
And of course, the retailers want you to get their credit card. They offer you all kinds of special deals, 20% off on your entire purchase today to get the store credit card. You got to be really careful about that if you carry a balance because the interest rate is so high.
Yeah, you definitely want to be wary of these deals. Retail credit cards tend to have very high interest rates. I carry one that the interest rate is up to 27%, and I pay it off every month. I really only use it in that store. Mm-hmm. So, opening these things can be a bad idea for a lot of people. If you're not disciplined and you're not able to pay that balance every month, think long and hard about whether or not you want to take advantage to one of these introductory deals that almost every retailer with a credit card will offer you. Maybe if you're doing all your holiday shopping at, say, Gap brands, which gives you like a wide variety, okay, but then pay it off. Don't let it ride and don't start using it at the grocery store and the gas pump and all that, and then carry that balance, because real quick, those savings that you got initially are going to go away. You're going to end up, paying much more. And the credit card companies know that, and that's why they do this.
Well, here are the latest numbers from LendingTree. They just came out with a report on store credit cards. The average new store credit card APR is 26.6%. That's up from 24.2% a year ago. And more than 24 store cards now charge 29.99%. That is staggeringly high. And the final thing from their survey was that more than 1 in 3, 37% of those who had a store credit card regretted signing up, basically because the interest rate was so high. So if you get one of these cards, you've got to know that you're going to pay the bill off when you get it. Otherwise, you're just going to get deeper and deeper in debt.
And it's really sad because with the way things are now and inflation putting a pinch on so many people, they're more likely to use credit, and then the rates are going higher. So it's a bad scene. I mean, I think this may be the year to really think about how many people you're gifting, and maybe you talk to someone, a friend who you usually exchange gifts with, and say, maybe this is the year we give each other, the chance to not have to do this, and let's just go out and grab a meal together or something like that. Because I think really, it's tough for a lot of people. And then you have things like credit card rates going high, and, you don't want to get to January and February and be down in the dumps because you did too much damage at the stores and now you're paying the price.
Absolutely. Well, the new way to pay is buy now, pay later, and that has some significant downsides. We'll talk to Jamie about that next. This is Consumerpedia, powered by Checkbook.org.
Consumerpedia Fast Facts. To avoid stress and spread out their budgets, many people start their holiday shopping early. In fact, 60% of holiday shoppers started browsing and buying by early November, according to the National Retail Federation. Once again, gift cards top this year's wish list, followed by clothing, books, and other media, electronics, home decor, and then jewelry. Top shopping destination this year? Online, discount stores, and department stores. Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Tracy Shakal.
So let's finish up talking about buy now, pay later, which seems like a great way to pay for holiday gifts. You have one payment now and 3 payments that are equal amount down the road. In many cases, there's no interest. There may or may not be fees depending on if you pay on time and which service you're using. It sounds like free money. It's like the old layaway, except with layaway, you had to pay off the product to get it, and this time you get it before you finish paying off. Jamie, you have some warnings for people about how you can get yourself in trouble with this.
Yeah, I mean, much like those retail credit cards, it's so easy to think like, wow, I can get $500 worth of merchandise and I don't have to pay for it all right now. I can, for $100, I can get all the stuff I need and I can gift it to the people I want to gift it to, and I can worry about it later. And it's just not a good idea unless you know that you are going to have that money to pay those bills when they come due. You don't want to do this. If you end up in collections, this can hit your credit report just like it would, with a credit card for a late payment. If it's a situation where the only way you can get what you want to get is to use buy now, pay later, think long and hard about whether or not you should be buying this stuff. Look at all the terms, all the conditions. The companies can be different. So if you used one, last year and now you're using another one, things may have changed. You just want to be really careful about using these programs. It's there's a lot of trouble you can get yourself into with big balances that come due, and everyone's all excited around the holiday time and we want to see that look on a loved one's face when they open that special something. But think about how you're going to feel after the holidays when, these bills come due and you're really in a bad situation.
And they come at all different times, especially if people use multiple. A lot of people using 3 and 4 at the same time. They come due at different times. It may not be when you have money in your checking account. You can really get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one more trap is kind of how I see it. I'm sure there are people out there who are going to use buy now, pay later for their entire shopping list. And it just seems like a really risky move.
All right. Have you finished all your shopping yet, Jamie?
Have I started my shopping yet? I have not. I've been pretty good about doing most of it in November, but I have not really bought a thing this year, and this kind of goes with another thing I like to tell people when I get asked about holiday shopping is we've kind of decided we're going to focus on experience gifts this year. I have so many Legos in my basement. I can't even tell you, and just so much stuff. I think, some of the best times that my family has together is when we go see a show or we go to a museum or we spend a weekend away. That's going to be our focus as a family this year, is to try to give gifts that aren't stuff. To give things like, gift cards to restaurants, show tickets. We all have so much stuff. And sometimes the best gifts are the ones that you can't really hold. It's the memories and the fun. You think about doing some of those kinds of gifts too.
Great advice.
It could be even something that you do yourself, right? Like if you, like kids and you like to babysit and you have a niece or a nephew, gift a couple hours of babysitting. No one is going to be disappointed with that gift. I can tell you that.
Great advice. Jamie, it was fun talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And if you just send me a Hanukkah card, I'll be very, very happy.
Oh, you got it, Herb. Thanks for having me, and happy holidays, everybody.
If you'd like to know more about Buy Now, Pay Later, the ins and outs, and the pitfalls, I just wrote a very detailed article about it. You'll find that story on our website, checkbook.org. Just search Buy Now, Pay Later. Well, we've come to the end of another episode of Consumerpedia. Thank you for listening. Remember, we release new episodes every other Thursday. You can subscribe to us on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Another way you can support this show is to follow us on Consumerpedia on Facebook and Instagram, and at My Consumerpedia on Twitter. I'm Herb Weisbaum. I hope you and your family have a very happy and healthy holiday season.
Consumerpedia is a public service of Checkbook.org. We're a unique nonprofit that empowers you, the consumer, to save money and make smarter choices. From auto repair shops to doctors, plumbers to vets, you can count on Checkbook.org to help you find the best services and avoid the worst. Local ratings are unbiased and accurate. If you live in or around these 7 cities and haven't joined Checkbook yet, check us out. Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Washington, D.C. To get your free 30-day subscription, go to checkbook.org/Consumerpedia. Consumerpedia, empowering consumers to save money and make smarter choices.